Now, if you have been watching my channel and following my videos, I'm sure you remember that I talked about self transition. So basically in Jira workflow, you can create a transition that will be like a loop, and you can use this method to get some additional feedback or update from the user. We did talk about this thing when we were working on understanding how we can create approvals in Jira, where you want the issue to stay at the same status, and the issue can only proceed further when you have all the conditions true. And those conditions can only be true when you have, let us say, approval, when you need approval from multiple people. Now, I was looking at this question where Leo is asking transitions with screen which comes back to the same status. And I was trying to understand this question. So Leo is saying that I have a status 1 in an issue, which is fine. When I click the status 2 button, okay, I get a transition screen with a couple of fields to fill out. This is what I want. But how can I get automatically back to status 1? So I think what Leo needs to do is, if I understand correctly, I think he needs to add simply a transition from status 2 to status 1. This is what I think he needs to do, but in case he's talking about self transition, like maybe he wants the issue to stay at the same status when someone clicks on that particular transition button, then we can always use this self transition. So let us see how it works. So for example, if I look at my workflow, let me show you my workflow, like for one of the issue, of course. So let us open, I think we can open probably this one, or a test incident, I believe, or a service request, doesn't really matter. So if you look at the workflow, maybe you have a requirement where you want to capture something additional from the user. So while your issue is at, let us say, waiting for support or something, you may want to have, or maybe let us say it is still in progress, but you're doing some further investigation and you want that additional information to be filled in when someone clicks on, let us say, a button that says investigation, but you want the issue to come back to the in progress. So let us see how it can be done. So if we go back to the workflow that we need to modify is the one which is associated with the service request. So we will go to the project settings, then we'll click on the workflows, and of course make sure that this workflow is not being used by any other project, which I know is the case, but just be aware. So this is not what I want. I wanted to click on the workflow, not the widget or email. Anyways, let us click on it again. So let us wait for the issue or the workflows to come, and the one that I want to modify is this one, the service request. Let me click on the edit, the pencil sign, and let me show you the workflow that looks good visually because we can easily understand, but you can also use the text mode. So if you click on the diagram, there was a time when I used to just use the text mode, not the diagram, but there are certain things that you can do in text mode, and there are certain things that you can do only in diagram mode. So I did talk about it. Go and watch that video in case you want to learn. Okay, so in progress. So what we need to do is we need to basically create this transition from in progress to in progress, and let us name it as investigation. And maybe you want to display a screen because that is, I think it makes sense if you want to capture something additional from the user. So I don't really have a lot of screens, so maybe I'll use something like workflow screen, I guess, to give you an idea. So add this, and this will look like this on the workflow. Let me try to show you in a different way. Okay, so this will be like, this loop that looks really cool like this, and let us see how it behaves. If you go to the workflow again and make sure you publish the link to, or the button, whatever this is, the published draft is a bit small, so you have to be very careful that whenever you change the workflow, make sure you publish it. So this link is actually a bit small on the cloud, but anyways, we are not really complaining. We are just talking about a small improvement that can be done. Okay, anyways, so let us go back to the issue, and let me click on the SD-1, and now you see here that the issue is right now at in progress. The current status is in progress. We can of course do a lot of other things, like we can proceed further, but all I want to do is I want to simply click on the investigate, and I mean you can control the behavior of your issue types workflow to basically only display this button and maybe hide the other buttons. And maybe when you when someone clicks on this button, investigation for example, you may want to update or populate a field, and based on the value or whatever condition, you can then expose other transition buttons. So you can do a lot of wonderful things with the workflow, and of course these self transition. So now we have this transition screen. You can fill up whatever you want. Let us say you want to add a smiley. Click on the investigation. So maybe you want to add a smiley, and the current status is still in progress. So this is something that you can do, and I thought I'll probably talk about it again in case you are struggling to understand how these self transitions work in Jira. And I'm of course using Jira Cloud, but it will the thing is the way it works is still applicable on server as well. And that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you also learned something new today. Thank you very much.